I'm responsible for, as a team leader, 3 other dudes' lives. As a squad leader, 9 other people's lives. As a platoon sergeant, 40 people's lives. I'm responsible. The decisions that I make, my leadership is directly responsible for whether they live or die.
Welcome to the Recalibrated. I'm your host, Meade Kincke, and I'm here to take us through the journey of being in the service, transitioning out, and what today looks like. Our guest, Adam Peters, served over 13 years in the United States Army as an infantryman and has seen more than his fair share with 4 combat deployments to the Middle East. Today, he is the founder of The Strategic Veteran, a platform and podcast focused on helping service members and veterans navigate the realities of life after the military. Adam, welcome to the show.
Meade, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely lovely, sir. So let's begin with the why. So what drew you to the Army, especially given that you hold a CPL, a commercial pilot?
Well,
one would think it would be, driven towards the Air Force and that.
Well, what's funny about that is I actually was driven towards the Air Force and the Navy. So the commercial pilot's license wouldn't come until after the Army. So
sure.
I joined right out of high school, and the truth is, it's somewhere in the middle of all of this. I had a buddy that was a class ahead of me in high school. His name's Alex Burkle. He is a bigwig in the Air Force now, but he went to basic training the summer between our junior and senior year. And I saw the changes as a young man that made in him, and I actually kind of wanted to do that. And then you couple that with some stuff that was going on at home, and the fact that I grew up in kind of small town Indiana. I just wanted out, man. I didn't want to be a farmer. I didn't want to work for the farmers. The business, the industry in southern Indiana, you could just tie it all the way back to, it's just legacy, generational, land and businesses. And so I just kind of knew that there was more to the world, and I wanted out. So, self-improvement, being mad at my parents, and wanting out of small town America, I ended up in the Army as an infantry guy.
I love that. You're like, anywhere but here. I just can't, the smell of corn makes me nauseated. I can't do this anymore.
And it's funny, man, because it will always be home. There's a certain way that I feel when I go back, and I'll even take this a step further. I've been back twice in 22 years. So it's not like I go back often, but it will always be some element of home. There will always be some kind of grounding, energetic feeling in my body when I go back to my hometown, but there's just nothing there for me anymore, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And, that's one of those things where when you chat to people who are worldly and you chat to people that are definitely not, there's a difference between the two. You can kind of go like, well, the Kathleen Madigan, a comedian, has said it really well of like, well, where would I go? And you go like, there's a map, you can throw a dart at it, like, you can go anywhere you like, but not everyone have the wanderlust. And it seems like you may have taken their share as well.
I probably, man, because one of my favorite things to do, I do this frequently when I go to Peru, and I go to Peru once a year. Gotcha. I love to just go to a place with no plan and get lost. Like, obviously, there's like a process, you know what I mean? Like, I know where the hotel or the Airbnb's at. Sure. I know what direction I've walked. I also have, kind of, it's 2026, so you should have some kind of electronic map in your pocket. You know what I mean? But like that's fun for me. Like, I don't speak the language. I'm terrible at learning languages. I think that I have the capacity to do it, but I think the only way I'm going to do that is, through immersion and being in places like that. But it is true. It's one of my absolute favorite things is to just start walking a direction and explore a foreign place.
I'm much the same. I love that. And that's the thing, is that you end up like 3 o'clock in someone's, back garden going like, what do you mean we're doing drunk ring toss? And you go like, what do you mean you're not? I'm over here living life. Come on now, let's do the thing.
Right. Yes. 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 And I mean, there's so much to see. There's so much to
Yeah.
experience. And I know the United States is a big place and you could spend your whole life here and not
Sure.
explore everything, but also like there's a whole world out there,
Definitely that. So let's get into the beginnings of it. What like, as far as humble beginnings for you as an infantryman, what did that look like? How did that begin?
It was rough, man. It was rough. So I joined the Army. Technically, I joined the Army July 3rd of 2002. So I spent a year on the delayed entry program,
Okay.
which is nothing more than a year of indoctrination before you go get indoctrinated formally, right? And look, man, I did the things to get the extra rank that you can get. So instead of being an E1, I came in as an E3 and would
Sure.
do that thing, right? Like just did the thing, whatever. Originally, I joined as 11 X-ray Airborne Ranger, so I had the whole contract. That got screwed up. But back in the day, there was like the way you would get things was recruiters had to do certain things to make quotas, and then you could only get certain contracts by being. Anyway, long story short, they paired me with a guy. My contract was contingent on that guy shipping to basic training. That guy never shipped to basic training, so I lost my contract. I just got to become an 11 X-ray, lose the airborne, lose the ranger. So I got to family day at basic training and I didn't have like a duty station to go to. And this is kind of the first time in my life where hindsight's 2020.
Sure.
I should have stayed as permanent party at Fort Benning after I graduated basic training. This was the options that they gave me.
Okay.
I should have stayed because I would have got all the schools and I would have eventually kind of gotten to go where I wanted to go in the beginning. But I didn't know that. What I knew is there was a permanent party guy during my cycle of basic training and they treated him like shit. And I didn't want any part of that. So I opted to just go to Fort Stewart. And
okay.
I got to Fort Stewart somewhere between 2 weeks and a month after those guys had come home from the invasion. So that should tell you enough about what my life as a private was like in now a combat seasoned, if you will, infantry unit. So life sucked for me as a private, man. No combat patch, no CIB. At the time, we were still in the BDU and the DCU uniform. So the only way you would wear
this was at the day like when they were introducing digitals, yeah?
Yeah, so this was about 4 years before we would go into the ACUs. So at the time, the way you wore your flag on your shoulder was you had to have a combat patch. So I literally had nothing, man. And they were quick to let you know about it. You were ostracized. You were, I wouldn't call it hazing. I would just call it paying your dues.
Looked down upon, I think is a fair way to say it.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I think, look, man, I participated in that stuff throughout my career. I would have been guilty of what they call hazing now. I think it's all for a reason. I think it all makes sense. And I think it's just part of it. Like it's the fucking Army. You know what I mean? Like deal with it. So do I think it was wrong? No. Did it suck? Yeah, absolutely. Did I feel like I was abused? No. Did I feel like I was paying my dues and earning my right to be there? Yeah, kind of. Can I say all of that because I lived through it and kind of that was my experience? Yeah, that probably has an effect on it. But would I change any of it? No. I think it's,
fair enough.
I wouldn't change any of it because it made me the man that I am today.
So basically you're just saying like drink the Kool-Aid, go to the frat with guns is the big.
That's it, man. Shut up and color, dude. Like you got yourself into this. Like you have no, like, what did you think? You were going to change a machine that has been running since 1775? Like,
and also it only has a few hands in the cookie jar, just a few.
Yeah, right. So
oh goodness. But, so we kind of answered what it looks like. Oh, pardon, I'm speaking of you.
No, I was just gonna say that's what it was like for me, man. Like if you could dream it, I was probably treated that way.
I understand.
I also, there's a caveat to that too. yeah, they treated me and ostracized me differently because I didn't have all of those things. But
Sure.
also after work, I was still invited to go to Savannah and to drink and to party and to go to the strip clubs
Okay.
and
Okay.
to be a right. So it was, I guess for a young man that can be kind of confusing, but also I think
Yeah.
as an older man now, I understand what was going on. There was, you kind of had to earn your place and prove yourself during
Sure.
the day and when you're working into field problems and all of that, but also you are a part of this team whether we like it or not, so we are going to include you and we are going to, look out for you and treat you the right way after hours, you know what I mean?
Well, then see, that's where you really get to know men anyway. Like I've said this 1,000 times over. Like if you go to, a conference, you go to this and you go, yeah, do you know where you actually like meet people, make, really lifelong friends, do business, hotel lobby bar, 3 o'clock. That's where you do it. Like you're like, oh, let's go to the conference. No one are going to the conference.
Right. Dude, I totally agree with you. I've got a 4-day event coming up over in Orlando next
3
week.
o'clock lobby bar. That's the time.
It will be, and look, like I'm intentionally staying in the hotel when I could drive home every night,
Yeah.
because of what you just said, because
Exactly
of the networking
that.
opportunity.
Bring your business cards. That's one of those things where you go like, listen, have you met John? You're like, no, but I'm about to.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that. So we've kind of touched on should have been special forces, and then because of we can only say bureaucracy and paperwork, that fell by the wayside, because as the army is, well, anything government is known to do, it wouldn't be a good party unless someone mucked up the paperwork. But
that's so true. It's so true.
Just saying. Like, what? Let's say, through your tenure, what's something that you were just absolutely delighted that smartphones were not around to record?
Oh, God. Oh, man.
Probably 20 stories.
That's a loaded question, dude.
That's what I'm here to do.
Yeah. So probably, look, so my roommate was a cook when I lived in the barracks. Danny Cassidy, one of my favorite humans on the planet. I wish that I would have stayed in better touch with him after he got out of the army. But as young, still teenage men, he was older, so he could buy the beer. I was just a youngster. We played a game where we would ride to Savannah with everybody, because Savannah's about an hour drive away from Fort Stewart, but that's where you go to for the nightlife and but we would play a game, and it was, we would race, we would see who could get back to the barracks first. So we would go out, we would leave the crowd, and then the goal was to get women to bring us back to the barracks. And man, there's one night that I remember very distinctly. We did get women to bring us back to the barracks. They were drinking and driving. I'm not advocating for drinking and driving, but at least we weren't drinking and driving and jeopardizing our careers. And the one that he was sniffing after was the one that was driving. The one that I was sniffing after, I ended up having to hold her hair to puke behind an electrical box somewhere.
Class.
Really, really close to the gate. And so they get us to the gate, and they don't want to drive on post because, and honestly, I can't blame them, because they were, and
you're
so
like, there's a guard post, there's a man with a carbine. I don't think this is for me. This is where I'm supposed to be.
And so Danny and I, we had to walk through the front gate of Fort Stewart right there. I forget the name of the main road, but luckily there's a class 6 just inside the front gate. So he stops and he buys beer, and now we walk. Our barracks was the complete opposite end of post. It's like a 4 or 5 mile walk.
Wow.
And we're hammered. And so I'm pretty glad there was no smartphones, because there's no telling what we did on that walk. But those videos probably would have got us in a lot of trouble.
You made it home, though. So at least there's that.
And we did, and that's, I think it's funny because in all it was probably a good 10 or 11 months that we would do this pretty much every weekend. Sure. We never got stranded, ever. We never had not a ride home. That was the only time that somebody didn't drop us back off or stay the night in our barracks room. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and like 4 miles is a decent hump from the gate. Like that's
especially when you've been drinking all night.
Yeah, you're over there going like navigating by the North Star, going, where are we?
There's another one would be probably, so St. Patrick's Day is huge in Savannah. It's a giant thing, over 1 million people on River Street. It's really cool. They turn the whole river green. So my first year there, shortly after I showed up to the unit, we all went to party for St. Patrick's Day, and there was a 12-mile ruck march that started at 4 a.m. the next morning. Well, we didn't get back from drinking until 3 a.m. So we didn't even go to bed. We just show up drunk on duty, just hammer everybody from at least the platoons aren't down. They were all there. So we're all hammered, and we do the 12-mile ruck march. And just, dude, if you would have had a smartphone to film this, you'd be like, this is America's fighting force. Like, this is the,
all I can see is it's the beginning scene of Shaun of the Dead, where you go like, oh, who died and made you king zombie?
It was bad, man. It was bad. And
that's the definition of dead on the feet. Like, come on now.
Yeah. And so thank God we had just like a Donza after the ruck march finished. And I think, dude, that was one of the fastest times I ever had. I finished it sub 3 hours, which is kind of, the standard, but I don't know how I finished it. And dude, as we're all finishing, we're all throwing up. You can smell the alcohol coming out of our pores, like it's just,
it's in the bones.
I really am glad that there was no smartphones for that stuff, man. And you're right. Probably 100 other stories that I just can't think of right now.
No worries.
They should probably live in my memory and never be talked about again,
And in puddles in Savannah.
Yeah. Yes. Very much. Yes.
Oh my God. I think those two will cover. So nearing the end of your service, like what drove your decision to retire?
It wasn't me, man. My body quit. 4 deployments, almost 50 months of combat time. Multiple. I had 5 surgeries while I was still in. So I had 2 shoulder surgeries. I had a hernia repair, and then I had my entire left foot put back together, which took 3 surgeries.
Wow.
The decision, I guess, you're putting me on the spot. I have to be honest. The decision actually was mine. They gave me the option to MMRB, which is a medical reclass. So I would change MOSs and then, kind of finish my career in a different job. I said no to that.
Most likely desk job kind of thing at that point.
Oh yeah. 100% would have been probably a non-deployable or kind of like a FOBIT role. Whatever. Obviously not going to work for me because I was never a FOBIT. I never, that was not the role that I played. I was an infantry guy. I was in the fight always. Some was more boring than others. I'm not here to evangelize and make it something that it wasn't. I've seen it all. I've seen heavy combat and firefights that last a long time to an entire deployment where I didn't fire a single round because it was so boring and ROE was that lame. You know what I mean? But for me, the fact that I was a senior staff sergeant about to be an E7, that's a leadership issue. I cannot, as a senior non-commissioned officer, go to another MOS where I'm supposed to be the subject matter expert to mentor, to lead, and to train these young soldiers that are coming up. I just knew that I wasn't going to fit that mold. How am I going to be a leader in an MOS that I don't know? You know what I mean? Sure. And I'm only going to have as an E6 or an E7, I'm only going to have whatever the length of reclass training is. I'm going to go to, that's the other part of it. I'm going to go to their AIT. I'm going to be treated like shit as a senior non-commissioned officer with more combat time than most. Like I just kind of, I don't know. And I think, if I really think about it too, I was just bitter. I was angry that like my career is over. I can't do what I do anymore. So I just kind of took the angry way out and said, okay, well, I guess I'm going to get medically retired. Screw you guys,
Fair enough. And, there's a lot to be said about when the body says no, the body is done. It's a thing. But, you go back and you can play we've already kind of touched on it, the hindsight being 2020. And you go like, oh, well, maybe I could have talked about being an officer. Maybe I could have talked about this. Maybe I could have been a spaceship. And you go, but it's done now. So it's okay.
And it's probably, honestly, it was probably the right decision because I've had another 5 surgeries since I've been out. Just putting myself back together after destroying my body from the age of 18 to 30.
So what you're trying to tell the audience is that you're just very clumsy. Is that what I'm understanding correctly?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I fucked around and found out, right? Like,
he keeps talking about combat. We all he does is fall downstairs all day long. It's just like, come on now.
I do that. I do that.
Let's not have that be true.
Really,
that was a joke.
I actually trip over my own feet quite a bit, which is it's. I just did it this morning. I was walking out of the bathroom at the gym on the way to the leg press, and just my feet get in the way sometimes, and then it's kind of one of those, you know, stumble, fall, run forward kind of. Did anybody see that embarrassing moments? Yeah, that happens to me more often than I'd like to.
So
admit.
you're just like trying to like exhibit your inner like newly born gazelle or something where they just haven't figured out the legs yet.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. It was leg day today too, so maybe I can blame it on that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, you're out. You know, like what was the moment you realized the civilian life was going to be different?
Probably the day I got out, man. I think for me, you know, I may not have the same kind of vision of what it was like that other people do in that I was medically retired. So
Sure.
I got 100% total and permanent. So I know that I'm going to get a significant amount of money into my bank account, and I'm not really going to be pressured to have to go and find that super lucrative job. I don't have a family. I was living in a really cheap apartment at the time. So, you know, it was basically a lateral move for me. You know,
Sure.
I was making less money, of course. However, it didn't really affect me because I wasn't spending a whole bunch of money. So, so for me, just knowing that the day that I got out, and I actually am writing a book about my transition story because that's what I do. You know, my brand is advocating for better veteran transition, and now obviously, you know, some veteran policy issues that we're dealing with, but in my transitions, you know, as I'm writing this book, I realized, you know, that first day I got out, it's like 1:00. I'm supposed to be back at you know, work call formation after lunch, and it's just deathly silent. And I'm 30 years old. I have all my friends have jobs. All of my Army friends have to be back at work. So like, I'm just in this in between. Like, what do I do now? And that's when I realized, like, the phone's not ringing anymore. I'm not putting out fires. I'm not a leader anymore because you know, I'm not in the Army anymore. And that's when I realized it was going to be very different, man. Very, very different. Like how I've spent 13 years of somebody telling me where to be, when to be there,
all
what
day,
uniform
every
to
day.
all day, multiple times a day. and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think, you know, that's
just
why
goes from
the
being
Army works.
Being extremely regimented to, and I've said this and I'll repeat it for your benefit. Transitioning more often than not is like a miniature death. You just kind of go like, well, what happened? You're like, you're on your own, big boy. Have fun.
Yep.
Like, that's it.
Yep. Yeah, 1,000%, man. And you're absolutely right. It's just a complete, like, you don't know how to create that structure for yourself because from the minute you join, I mean, for me, my delayed entry, a year of indoctrination before the real indoctrination, like that is drilled into you from day one, minute one, right? And so what they don't teach you is how do you build that regimen for yourself. Yeah, of course, you go to some leadership schools, you learn about, you know, the 5 paragraphs of an op order and how to put these things together. You learn what warnos and fragos and op words are. And that's largely what drives the structure of the military. But you don't understand how to build that for yourself when it's been given to you for 13 years.
Yeah. Again, I'm echoing that. When you go, like, you know who you're reporting to. You know who reports to you. You know what time you're eating. You know what time you do this and all. And you go like, wait, hold on. I'm supposed to like do my what? You're like, hold on a tick. This isn't the same. What are you talking about?
Yep. No, man. No. It's strange. It's a very, very uncomfortable, strange feeling.
Sure. So what did not translate well? Let's say it that way.
So much, man.
I'm just here to poke the bear. That's all I'm here to do.
Yeah, honestly, first of all, the attitude, right? Like the particularly as a combat arms guy, like
Hmm.
as an infantry guy. I hate saying it like this because it sounds so egotistical. It's just true. The infantry inside of the military is a miniature military inside of the military. It's completely different than the rest of the MOSs, the rest of the regular army, the rest
Hmm.
of the Marine Corps. And I've got all the conversations of infantry guys who feel the exact same way. I've
Sure.
got some soft skill MOS guys who agree with me because they've been attached to infantry units. So it's very different. This attitude, we've had professional athletes come and train with us, and they're like, "Dude,
Mm.
you do more than we do. You train as hard as we do. It's incredible, right?" So, um, none of it translates, man. The civilian world is all about mediocrity and just showing up, doing the bare minimum, and going home at 5 o'clock. So none of it translates because in my role and what I was doing for my career, it's very much like I'm responsible for, as a team leader, 3 other dudes' lives.
Sure.
As a squad leader, 9 other people's lives. As a platoon sergeant, 40 people's lives. I'm
Sure.
responsible. The decisions that I make, my leadership is directly responsible for whether they live or die.
Sure.
Right. So that level of responsibility, how could that translate
You
to the
mean that
civilian
doesn't
world?
translate into who's getting submarine sandwiches for lunch and why is it a half hour late? That doesn't
Yeah.
translate? Come
Yeah,
on, Adam. I
no,
think you're having a
it's
song.
to your point, like something as stupid as in the civilian world, they say we're having a meeting at 9 o'clock. My experience
Hmm.
is like all the military people are going to be there at 8:45 because that's what we're taught. We're going to sit there
Timeliness
till
is not a thing.
9:30 before the meeting starts, and then we're already pissed off because we're like 30 fucking minutes, man. Like, what is going on here, dude? Like,
Yep.
so it's hard to say, dude, and like it's been so long since I got out too. So for me to
Sure.
actually recall what all of this
No,
feels
no
like,
worries. No worries at all.
particularly with like disqualifying myself from the corporate world, I want
Sure.
nothing to do with the corporate world because of how much none of it translates. I'm so much better off just doing what I do now. I'm way
No, I
happier for
understand.
sure.
So let's say it this way. Who or what kind of helped you adjust?
Oh yeah, I love that you're asking this question because I actually can articulate this as I've had some time to sit back and look at my
Okay.
journey. Um, when I first got out, I didn't have a clue what I was going to do. I had no idea. Like seriously, and I mean this because flying has always been a dream, right? So
Sure.
aviation was a dream. I told you I tried to join the Navy and the Air Force. I got laughed out of the foyer at my high school by them. They told me there was not a shot, a snowball's chance in hell that I would ever fly for the military. I even put in 2 warrant packets while I was in the Army to
Okay.
fly, and hoping that the technology would get better to fix my eyes. Well, spoiler
Okay.
alert: the technology is never going to get good enough to fix my eyes because I'm very, very, very farsighted, which
Sure.
means they need to build the curve of my eye. My eye is flat. Well, we can't
Mm.
really build our eyes any more than what we've already been able to establish. So I digress on that, but I
Sure.
found out that I could go to flight school. I went to an orientation at Clover Park Technical College in Puyallup, Washington. It was like
Nice.
a whim. I went through the whole 2 hour briefing that they give, the tour, all of that. And I went straight to the assistant chief and I was like, man, what are the odds that I can actually come to this school and learn how to fly? And he's
Sure.
like, what do you mean? I was like, I wear glasses. I've been told no my whole life. He's like, dude, like this is civilian aviation. As long as you can get corrected to 2020, you can fly. And I was
And
like,
see, that's like I'm a pilot as well, and like when you talk about people and you go like, well, hold on a moment, are you flying humans cargo? Are you doing this for as a charter? There are different questions to answer here.
yes, yes. My main concern was, are my eyes going to disqualify me from flying?
Sure.
The answer was no. And so I immediately started the process.
There we go.
While all of that was going on, I didn't. I'm like a guy that needs to have something to do always. Like it is not good. It is not good for me to sit around and do nothing.
Sure.
Like it's just really bad for my physical, my mental, my emotional health. It's just not good for me. So I always need to have something to do. I didn't need a job when I got out.
Sure.
But I was blessed enough to meet Larry and Margot Perini, who own or owned several vape shops. Actually,
Mm.
they owned one at the time in Olympia, Washington. They eventually expanded to three and a bar, and really blessed to know these people. And
Sure.
I'll save you all the details on how we met and why they're
No
special to me and
worries.
all that. But Larry saw that it's not good for me to sit around, and he called me out of the blue one day and said, "Hey, I need an employee, and I think you should come do this." And
Okay.
I was like, "Okay, cool." So I started working at the vape shop, retail, and I started learning about how all of it works and how things are ordered and customer service and how that makes a difference, and payment point of sale systems. And I really
Sure.
started learning the business. It wasn't They weren't trying to teach me the business. I wasn't a manager. I just am observant. I pay attention to
Learn by doing.
detail. So while I was going through flight school, that's what I did. And I learned a ton, and I had a lot of fun, and of course made a little extra spending cash. As I finished up flight school, I wanted to go get my bachelor's, and I kind of couldn't work out a schedule at the vape shop. So, long story short, I got an opportunity to go manage a gun store, and that's where I really learned about business, because former veteran owned the gun store, needed a lot of help. Didn't realize that he was a terrible business owner. Long story short, I turned his entire business around, and he stopped showing up 7 days a week. So it was like my gun store. I was doing literally everything from ordering to background checks to NFA items to taking in all of the repair stuff to payroll to you name it. I was the guy. I was doing all of
Sure.
it. So I really, for about a year, I just learned how to run a business, and I made a shit ton of money for him. And um, that's when I had finished my bachelor's. The reason I went to go get the bachelor's is because in the aviation world, I wanted to fly internationally. That would have made
Mm.
me more competitive.
Sure.
That's neither here nor there, because I don't do any of that shit anymore. But part of the
Fair
Voc
play.
rehab, yeah, part of the Voc rehab thing is when you graduate, they give you 3 or 4 months of extra money, and it's a significant chunk of change. As long as you're looking for a new career and you can show that you're applying to jobs, and the
Sure.
caveat is you cannot refuse interviews. So I ended up applying to jobs just to get the extra money. I had no idea what I actually wanted to do. COVID was going on, so like everything in Washington State was shut down. So I knew I was going to be a
Sure.
pilot for a while. Plus, you as a pilot know there's like 1,200 extra hours you got to go get in
Well,
order to
in the
make your.
States, yeah. And that's one of those things that people don't want to talk about either. It's like, that's only in the States when you talk about the 12 and you talk about Europe and you go, that doesn't exist. And you go like, hold on a minute. What,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, well,
It's a
that's
wild
Congress
bunch.
and their infinite wisdom
Yeah.
thinking that it's safer. Well, let me tell you this: the guy who sits in the left seat of a jet, he's got like 20 years, probably 10 at least.
Sure.
He's the one in charge, so you don't really need 1,200 extra hours. Really tooling around in a small airplane, because that's how most people get their hours anyway. Yeah, your
Well, that's
your
the thing. If you
aerodynamics and your
you
your
already
stall
know
knowledge is
if
great.
you're getting typed on something like, oh, how does 747 translate to 172, and you go, they
It
both have
doesn't.
wings. They both
That's
have
it.
wings. I think that's the similarity. Like, you do a spin in one of those, and you tell me how it feels in
Yeah, for sure, man.
contrast.
And look, I'll digress on all of that, because like
Sure.
flying is still to me one of the greatest things I've
It's
ever
wonderful.
accomplished. Being a pilot, I just realized that the dream was to be a pilot and fly for myself, not to
Sure.
do it for somebody else. And I think that's a really important distinction, because for me, that is now a goal. Like, my goal with business is to make enough money that I can buy a Cirrus Vision jet and just fly myself wherever I want. And I don't think that that's an unrealistic goal, because you can get one used for like 1.1. That's
Yeah,
really
no,
not that.
it's I will say we can get into not a debate but a suggestion session as far as thrust and everything else. The Vision Jet, like, they do a really good job of saying like, this is sexy and this it's one of the slowest birds that exist, but this is something we can discuss later.
I mean, I'd be okay even with like an SR-22 or Honda Jet.
Sure.
Like
Honda Jet
any
make a beautiful one. They really
dude,
do.
and they are beautiful. Have you had the opportunity to like get in one?
No, I've been in things like CJs and otherwise. I haven't actually been in a Honda Jet though.
Oh,
but
they're
I've
awesome.
done
They really
research
are
on them.
cool. Yeah, and anyway, the point is I want to own my own airplane at some
Yeah,
point when it makes sense, and just enjoy aviation for what it is. Like
fair
it's
play.
so freeing and just so amazing to,
Mm-hmm.
I have a thing for like doing things that like only 1% of people can do, I guess.
Sure,
And so
I understand.
that is flying, right? Like
Yeah.
and I forget where I was going with all of this,
Oh,
but
no worries.
when I learned, yeah, that when so work in the gun store. Long story short, I got a knack for business. I ended up getting an opportunity to move across the country and really start my own insurance agency. I didn't know that's what it was at the time, but I got sold hook, line, and sinker on selling final expense insurance,
Mm-hmm.
and really kind of working for myself, 1099, like eat what you kill, really
Sure.
lucrative. Um, and so that's how it went for me. I moved all the way across the country, left Washington in November of 2020, went
Okay.
out to South Carolina, started selling final expense to the poorest 1/3 of Americans, and very quickly went broke and learned that I had a lot to learn. From there, I pivoted to health insurance sales, which was work from home. That was not a bad gig, not nearly as lucrative as life insurance.
Sure.
However, what I sold there would actually stay on the books. I left
Gotcha.
that because they turned my leads off for 10 days. And
Oh,
anybody who
wow.
knows a sales cycle, like that's
Yeah.
just suicide. From there, I worked property and casualty insurance at an Allstate agency. I left that after 6 months because I got stiffed on $6,000 worth of commission. And also because I was the only agent in the office doing anything, including the owner. The owner wouldn't talk to his book of business. And so I just was like,
Okay.
I'm never going to be successful here.
Sure.
From there, I went to Medicare, Medicaid sales. That is just as demoralizing as knocking doors selling final expense to the poorest 1/3 of Americans. It's really sad, and it made me feel like a terrible human. So I actually left all of that. I let my
I
licenses and all of that
understand.
expire. I went and decided I was going to go back to flying.
Okay.
Um, so finished CFI.
Okay.
That's when I tore my bicep tendon and hit rock bottom, and then found ayahuasca. And so that's ayahuasca is truly what freed me and allowed me to
That's a
take
bit
the.
of a journey. Like, and I'll pause you for a moment, and you kind of answered this, but just to poke the bear a little bit more, were there any things that you needed to unlearn? I think you've said so. Goodness, this is wild. So bicep tendon, we went from that to ayahuasca. Now, quick question: as far as the medical, did the tendon pop off the bone? Like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah. So I actually
Oh.
had. So this is how it went. So um, I'm a pretty miserable human being at this point, right? Like I've just
Uh-huh.
given you this long. So from I got out
Sure.
November of 2015.
Okay.
It is now when I tore my bicep tendon, it's 2022. So it's like November, December of 2022.
Okay.
And so that is my journey, right? So college, managing other people's businesses and making them a lot of money, failing in the insurance industry because I was just given the sales pitch. I wasn't actually educated on how to sell insurance, how to get what chargebacks are, how to get business to stay on the books, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
And so I just resigned myself. Like, I'm just going to go back to flight school. I'll finish CFI. I didn't want to be a CFI at all. I don't want to be dependent on a student for paycheck. I
I
don't.
don't know
I,
many pilots that really want to be a CFI. Usually it's always a CFI so they can get to the airlines.
that's it. I fought it and fought it. Didn't want to do it. Resigned myself to, at least I'm flying, right? At least it's something that I do
Sure.
enjoy, even though it's going to be miserable because I'm going to do 5 of the same lesson with this, 5 different students every single day for 18
Sure.
months to get these hours. And long story short, my logbook when I finished commercial got stolen by a tweaker out of my garage in my house in Washington right before COVID happened. I completely forgot about that. Needed those numbers. Had to petition the FAA and send them a paper check for $2, and then wait 6 months to get those numbers so that I could take the check ride for CFI. So to this day, I'm about 3 days worth of work away from the check ride for CFI. I just haven't finished.
Just
And
sure. Also, there was a bear that came and clawed your leg, and that woman started shrieking. Are there any other weird obstacles that you'd like to throw into the mix, good sir? I mean, we're
yeah, I
here
mean,
to entertain them.
I spent $10,000 to get my medical to even go to flight school in the first place.
Sure.
Because
And I'm guessing none of the logbook was digitized. This was all just paper.
no, what was funny, Meade, you'll appreciate this. In IACRA, I go to the IACRA website to do all the paperwork for the 8710 to take the check ride, and my private pilot check ride is digitally on IACRA's website, but my commercial one isn't. How would my private pilot one from 3 years ago not be archived, but my commercial one is? And it was only a year ago.
As it turns out, one of those require a little bit more flight knowledge. Just saying.
As
Small
it
details.
turns out, so like why? So that was actually why I had to write the FAA. I did everything. I went to the FSDO. I was like, you guys are really going to make me wait 6 months to get this? And they said,
That's
yes.
insane. So paperwork. We're finding a common thread with your particular story, sir. Paperwork. That's why we don't invite paperwork to play.
Yeah, we don't. We did. Paperwork's the bane of my existence. But yeah, so yeah, I did. I tore the bicep tendon down at the bend in your elbow, which is kind of the most rare place to tear it.
Yeah, usually it's up at the top of the humerus.
I also tore it there.
Well done you.
Yeah, that was fixed before I got out of the Army with the 2 shoulder surgeries I had. So that was part of the 2 shoulder surgeries. Down here at the bottom, man, look, I'm telling you, I was at rock bottom. I weighed 321 pounds. I was at the fattest I had ever been. I was just disgustingly out of shape. It's a wonder that it didn't happen sooner. And the way I tore it is I had gone to my dad's. We were working on my Harley, and I was putting the front fairing back on my Harley, and as I pushed, it just popped. It just snapped.
Whoa.
And literally, Dad heard it. He said, "What the fuck was that?" I said, "I just tore my bicep tendon." I walked out the garage door. I threw up in his landscape because it hurt that bad.
Oh yeah.
And then walked back in the garage, and he's like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Dad, I don't know how to tell you. Like, I know I'm not a doctor, but I know I just tore this completely tore it." So this is where it gets really interesting. Then why I had 2 surgeries. So I go through the VA immediately, like the next day, because I know a bicep tendon, you got to get it repaired quickly because it's like leaving a rubber band in the sun. It gets brittle and eventually you can't fix it. So they send me to community care because they can't do it. I go to this doctor. This doctor cuts me open. He wakes me up to tell me, "Oh, your MRI is wrong. Your bicep tendon is not torn. I couldn't find it."
Couldn't find it? Oh, pardon. I left it in the car park. What do you mean you couldn't find it?
So now this is where I learn. I go back to the VA. I'm like, "Hey, this isn't right. Like, it's definitely fucking torn. Like, you can visibly see that it's torn."
Sure.
This surgeon, like, it's an elective surgery. Like, you don't have to fix a bicep tendon.
Yeah, no, you don't need to be able to bend the arm, Adam. Listen, you and your highfalutin ways and your arms.
Yeah, right.
What do you want from me?
Yeah, so I get with the VA. I fight back and forth for like 3 weeks.
Goodness.
It turns out I have to go over to Orlando because all the surgeons in the network over here, they have a hard and fast rule. They won't see you if you've been cut on within the last 90 days. So it's like it's an insurance thing, right? Like I respect it. I understand it. Thank God they sent me over to Orlando Health, Orthopedic Institute, and I get with Dr. Zumsteg. And what an amazing human being, because my first appointment with him, he agrees to see me. He walks in, he says, "I'm Dr. Zumsteg. First things first, I don't think your MRI is wrong." And I was like, okay, we're in business now, right? So long story short, he agrees to fix it. He does fix it. He found the tendon, have a really cool scar. It's kind of like a 90 degree angle where he had to like peel the skin back to actually get to the tendon. It's really cool. Kind of, I don't know. I like my scars, I guess, but long story, he fixed it. I have a donor tendon in there.
Jesus.
And You honestly can't even tell that I actually tore it. I don't have like the double peaks like some people do. I'm
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
blessed in that. But that actually set my recovery back about 9 months. So I was in a cast for a lot longer, more scar tissue.
Well, then
Just
the whole left arm atrophies, and you go like, great,
Yep.
I have one big arm, one small arm. Like, great, that's not natural at all.
Yeah, yeah. So the big kicker there is the day I tore the bicep tendon is the same day that I had received the numbers from the FAA in the mail.
Oh wow,
So I was literally scheduled to go back and finish CFI
CFI, yeah,
that following week, and that's when I mean, torn bicep tendon, left arm, right seat is where you're taking the check ride. Can't work a throttle. Pretty important to be able to work the throttle. Had I been doing any other check ride from the left seat, I still think I could have flown and been fine. But
let's just
just
say I'm glad you didn't. If you can't move the arm up to the yoke, maybe let it ride for a
right,
bit.
right.
Like,
So that was it, man. That was rock bottom for me. While I was working a menial, it's actually a really great job. I worked in the sod farm
mhm,
while I was waiting for those numbers to come from the FAA. Really cool, no responsibility. Show up, mow grass from 7 to 5:30 every day. Listen to
sure,
books, podcasts, all of that good stuff. Like completely left alone. Like honestly, and made $1,000 a week after taxes, which is
nice.
that's really good money. And for not a lot of work, dude. Like I sat on my ass in the hot Florida sun and I mowed grass and listened to books. I bettered myself for money. That's pretty cool. And
There you
that's
go.
that's where I found the Sean Ryan show. It's how I got introduced to plant medicine. Ibogaine and 5-MeO DMT was his story and his guest stories.
Sure,
Then his wife interviewed him on his podcast about his journey. Then I started seeking it out because the bicep tendon thing was pretty much
sure.
rock bottom for me. I was pretty suicidal. I wanted to kill myself. I didn't think that I belonged anywhere in the world. Um, got really even more discouraged as I started looking for a nonprofit that would pay for me to go and have a plant medicine experience because
Sure.
95% of them at the time they would all cater to special operations. They didn't cater and still don't really cater to
Sure.
conventional guys like me. And then by the grace of God, I got picked up by Heroic Hearts Project. And July 2nd through the 7th of 2023 is when my entire life changed. And it turned me into the person that I am now. And I've built literally everything from the heels of that first retreat.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that you got involved the way that you did. I'll say it that way.
I think we all have a journey, right? And
Yeah.
mine, I'm learning that mine is really interesting and fascinating to people, and can serve as a really good example for things that we as vets getting out don't have to go through.
Sure. Definitely that. Well, to all of you listening at home, if you love what you're hearing as much as we love what we're doing, smash that subscribe button. And getting into the now, what is your mission now?
I have several. The mission with the brand is to just be the guy I didn't have when I transitioned out. To
I love that.
be that example of like, hey, you don't have to make the same mistakes that I did. You don't have to go through 8.5 years of struggle before you figure out what you should be doing, or what's going to resonate with you. And moreover, it's to push you into ignoring all of those people who are telling you when you get out, you should do this, you should do that, you should do. It's to encourage you to sit with yourself in front of the mirror and truly ask yourself what you want to be doing, and then help you find a way to pursue that. Whether that's to earn a living, or, I mean, obviously everybody needs to earn a living, but
Sure.
I'm of the belief that everybody can earn a living doing something that truly resonates with them and makes them happy. We don't need as much money as we think that we do. We can live incredible lives doing things that resonate with us, and that's kind of the mission with TSV and the brand.
Sure.
Then, in business, my mission is to obviously create generational wealth that I don't come from, but the thing that drives me is I want to retire my dad. My dad is constantly, it's, and every year it goes up. He says he'll be 72 years old before he can truly retire. My dad is one of the hardest working people that I've ever met in my entire life, and he does it at such a level that, it's no wonder I am the way that I am. It's just, it's always professional. It's always done the right way. He doesn't cut corners, and I would like to see him enjoy his later years in life and not have to work 40 hours a week till he's 72 years old. So that's the mission there. And then the mission with the plant medicine stuff is to obviously provide people the opportunity to have a transformational experience like I did.
I love that. Well, that actually rolls into the kind of another query. How do you feel your identity has evolved since leaving service?
um I don't know that it has, man. I think
Okay.
a huge part of my identity was being a leader. I loved being a
Okay.
leader. I loved mentoring soldiers. And look, I have not been the nicest to myself about this. I had a mediocre career. I could have had such a much better career. I truly did have a mediocre career. And that carried over into, I thought I was a shitty leader. I really did think I wasn't a great leader. Hindsight is 2020. I can see now that I was as actually kind of a phenomenal leader. And there have been guests on my podcast that have said
Mm-hmm.
as much that were my subordinates. I still
Okay.
mentor several kids that are, at the end of their careers now, but I still get
Sure.
to mentor them. And look, now, because I built this platform and I'm advocating for people to not make the same mistakes, and not only do I get to lead the Army, I get to lead all of the military
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
So I don't think my identity has changed that much at all, man. I get to be a leader in
I love
entrepreneurship,
that.
in encouraging these guys and girls that are getting out, women, whatever,
Sure.
to think outside the box, to consider an avenue that nobody turned me on to when I was getting
Sure.
out, right? And it's also 2026. Like, the barrier to entry to becoming an entrepreneur it's non-existent right now. You have so many tools at your disposal to shortcut so many things.
Sure.
So I get to be a leader in that, and then in the plant medicine space, I get to be a leader in making sure that it's done the right way, making sure intentions are set, and integration is pre and post, and it's being done, and so I really don't think that it's changed at all. It just looks very different.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, what do you think, let's say, strengths from service that serve you well, like things that you wouldn't have had otherwise that really are who you are now?
Oh, hands down discipline.
Okay.
Hands down adaptability, problem solving, leadership. The same skills that do translate well to the civilian world, if you know
Sure.
how to translate them. Uh, they're the high leverage skills that I talk about that the military gives us. I mean, from day one, whether you realize it or not, they're grooming us to be the best leaders that we could be. Leadership,
Hmm.
it is second to none anywhere on the planet than in the military. Like that is the standard of leadership, I think, right? So yeah, all of those things I
I
carry
love
with
it.
me, but the biggest one for sure is discipline. Discipline for me is my number one core value. Discipline is something that will never abandon you. Discipline is always there to show you the way. If you just remain disciplined, you will accomplish literally everything that you set out to accomplish in your life. Period. End of story. It's all
I
around
love it.
discipline.
I absolutely adore that. Oh goodness. So this is something that you probably won't have a whole lot to offer on, but I'll ask it anyway. What do you have to offer veterans that are in transition?
Oh man.
What advice can you give them? What's something they need to hear from you?
Stop listening to everybody else and start listening to yourself. I'm serious, man. I see this all the
I
time.
love it.
It's signal versus noise. I know that's cliche, but it's
Oh, you're
so
quoting me. I
true.
say that constantly.
It's true, man. The only signal that should be coming in as you're getting out is from yourself. And you know, to go more in depth on that, well, what does that look
Hmm.
like? How do I listen to myself, Adam? I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And well, aren't you being kind of a hypocrite because you're giving me this advice and you're telling me not to listen to you? Yeah, that is kind of hypocritical, I guess, or catch 22 ish or whatever that is. But um, you have to sit in the mirror and have the tough conversation with yourself. You have to analyze, what are my core beliefs, my core values, my passions, and how can I live a life that is in alignment with those? What does that look like career wise? Where can I spend less money? Um, where can I sacrifice in the short term to, to reap the rewards in the long term? Like, all of those questions have to be answered, and the only way to do that is to turn off the noise that's coming from the outside and to listen to the signals that you're giving yourself.
I love that. Yeah, the Japanese have a wonderful word that kind of wraps all of that up in one. It's have you heard the term ikigai before?
Ikigai, yes, of
Yeah,
course.
you
I
know.
designed my life around it
There we
after
go.
my. It's and look, man, you could take the Ikigai even further if you look at. There's a really good Netflix documentary because
Mm,
like part of my new obsession is the Bible says we can live to 120.
sure.
I'm healthier. I've completely turned my entire life around from the first ayahuasca ceremony. My new goal is to live to 120, so I'm obsessed
I
with
love
blue
it.
zones. And if you look, Japan is a blue zone, and
Hmm.
the reason they attribute the biggest reason those centenarians, I think is what they call them.
Yeah, 100 years.
They attribute it to the ikigai. If they didn't have the ikigai, they wouldn't have purpose and they wouldn't live anymore.
Well, I think it's also a big thing, like something that I've said a ton of, especially when you talk, say agency or military or otherwise. Not everyone that wants you to do work for them are kind-hearted individuals. Some of them are definitely individuals that you should not be involved in. And the concept in the middle of like the foursquare of Ikigai, where you say like, well, these are the things I'm great at. These are the things society need. And then the big one that no one really talk about but me is and these are the things I'm willing to be paid for. Because just because you can do something does not mean you should.
Exactly, man. I just so good. I just did this last night with another guy. He runs a community. And asked me to come speak about networking to his community,
I
and
love
we
it.
we actually talked about kind of along the same lines, but as you begin your entrepreneurial journey, you're going to
Hmm.
experiment with a lot of different things, right? And you're going to start to understand the things that you're good at and the things that you're not good at. And you should
Sure.
not ever focus on the things that you're not good at. You're never going to go forward if you're focusing on you're not going to get better at the things that you're not
No,
good
I
at.
get it.
It just really is like, yes, you in theory could get better if you practice them. However, you're wasting time. Go focus on the things that you
Well,
are good at and practice
it's also,
those.
yeah, the thing that I say constantly, and like anytime I ask anyone, they always go, I've never been asked this before. This happens constantly with veterans. And I go, what makes you happy? And they go, oh, don't ask big questions like that. Like instantaneously, like, no one have ever asked me like what I like. And I'm like, well, I'm here to do it. So, and then
And
like all of a sudden it just goes, I'm allowed to do something that brings me joy. And I go, well, not only allowed, but required to.
and to your point, man, particularly in veterans, because we're taught
Yeah.
mission, soldiers, then self,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Absolutely.
So my whole life, I still am guilty of this. Mean, I'm not perfect at this. I still put a lot of things. That's my. In fact, that is my 2026. That I'm not a big goal setter. I know that the self help gurus are gonna fucking chastise me for that. I just don't believe in it. I think it's bullshit. Don't set a bunch of goals. Find like a theme, a thing that you want to change about
Sure.
yourself, like something very deep seated. So for me, this year, that is the letting go of the I have to and the I should. Those
I,
feelings are detrimental to my
I,
life.
I'm not even joking here, and I'll cut you off because I need you to hear it from like I was on like Reddit literally yesterday, giving advice to those in transition and things like that, and they said like, how do you take care of you? And I said, well, here's the thing, guilt. Guilt is a poison pill. And if you feel like you owe someone something, if you feel like, oh, well, I need to do this, then you're not living like a pilot. And you go, well, what's that mean? I'm like, okay, what's the rule on a jetliner? You're a pilot, you know. You put your oxygen mask on first. If you
Yep.
can't take care of you, you can take care of no one else.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. No, and it is true. So that's, I'm still guilty of not putting myself first. The carrying the guilt of I have to do this because if
Mm-hmm.
I don't do this, then I ruin my
Sure.
reputation with the brand that I've built, or I
Sure.
kill the momentum in the business, or insert whatever fucking excuse you want to
Nonsense
insert there.
reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, saying all of that to say, like you're absolutely right. Like nobody, we don't know how to articulate what actually makes us happy because we're so focused on making other people happy
Yep.
at the expense of our own happiness. And
Absolutely not.
I'm still wrestling with that question. If you were to point blank ask me that question right now, I wouldn't have an answer for you because I still don't know. It's some combination of this, what we're doing right now.
Yeah,
This makes me genuinely very happy. I enjoy podcasting a
I
lot.
love it.
I enjoy the work that I do. So, the plant medicine stuff,
Yeah.
the AI stuff. But that's not true happiness. And I don't know what my version of like true happiness is outside of kind of work, if you will. You know what I mean?
Maybe that's yet to be revealed, but I think it'll show itself soon.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm with you. I really, I know a big part of it will be travel. So I think this work has given me a platform that now is allowing me to travel. So maybe,
Great.
like you're saying, that's happiness starting to reveal itself.
There we go.
I do know I am very happy enjoying the journey. I will say
Well,
that
then
for
there you
sure.
go. I've said this a ton. If you're playing the game, you're still winning. Like that's the only way to really see it at all.
And I'm telling you, this is such a fun game, man. It's such a fun game because when you win, oh
Mhm.
man, do you win?
Yeah, no, that's true. Well, let's do this. We've talked about you. We've talked about vets. We've talked about this. What about people? What about civilians? What if you could just drop a thought in, something that they need to know? What do
It's
they
the
need to
same. It's
hear?
the same shit, man. It's the same stuff. Like what I am. Everything that I talk about, all of my philosophies, all of the things that I preach on LinkedIn, because that's really the only place that I'm at in my podcast.
Sure.
I've been blessed enough to see this grow. My audience is 50-50, veterans and civilian. It's not, I mean,
Mm,
these are universal things
I
that
love it.
civilians and military alike can adopt and do these. The things that I talk about that have helped me, the mindfulness, the breath work, the grounding practices, the yoga, the meditation, all of that stuff applies to all of the things, to sitting down in front of the mirror and having the conversation with yourself, to canceling out the noise, to learning how to determine what is noise. Yes, noise comes from your kids, it comes from your spouse, it comes from your parents, it comes from your brother and your sister. Like it
Sure.
comes from all of those places. I do not care what you think about that. When you tune out the noise of what all those other people want you to be doing and you start listening to yourself and focusing on that, all of those other things fall into place where they're supposed to. I promise you, it's not bullshit. It's not made up. It's very true. When I
It's
started
true.
focusing on taking care of myself, all the other piddly little bullshit from the outside noise started to
Mm.
fall into place. Everything.
I've said this a ton, and you've nailed it on the head. Of people can wait. It's one of those things where you go like, oh, this needs to get done last week. My wife says this constantly of, well, if everything's important, then nothing is important.
So true. There's a, you'll appreciate this. And I
Yeah.
wish I could remember where I heard it. I heard it
No
on a
worries.
podcast. I know that for sure, but
Okay.
they talk about the word priority. It should never be plural. How can you have more than one priority?
We have 13 things that are paramount. By definition, you have one.
Yeah.
I love
and
it.
obviously the podcast I heard that on, there was a lot longer explanation than that.
Sure.
It was way more articulated. However, simplifying it still carries a lot of weight. Like
No, I get it.
priority should not be plural. There's no such thing as priorities because by definition, you cannot have more than one.
Well said. No, I love it.
So like what is your priority? And it
Fair
should
play.
be yourself always.
Yeah. Well, see, that's another thing that people, I literally said this yesterday as well, is that people start feeling the whole guilty thing when they say, "Oh, I'm going to take care of me," but isn't that selfish? No, and this is where people get it twisted. Selfish means doing something at the detriment of someone else. It's
Hmm.
benefiting you and taking away from them. If you're doing something great, that's not taking something away from this guy or her or this or whatever. That's just you making yourself as big as you should be. But that's the difference, is that people think of it like it gets conflated with being parasitic, where you go, well, oh, I'm doing this, but it's at the pulling away from someone else. That's not
Yeah.
the case. And if
Nope.
anything, you being bigger makes everyone else bigger. That's the only thing to live by.
Yeah. And uh, with my goal for 2026, with letting go of I have to, I'm supposed
Yeah.
to, the guilt that comes with that, I
Yeah.
actually think it will allow me to be more productive and help more people.
It absolutely will. Because you're not focused on, oh, this little thread and this thing. And you go like, no, we're making a tapestry. I don't care. Let's just do the thing.
And I'll be honest, it is so hard. It is so hard when I get that DM like, hey, man, I'd love to get 30 minutes of your time. And it's like, okay, but now I have to gatekeep my time because, you know, I feel like I have to when somebody reaches out to me. And it's like,
Sure.
no, I need to know why you want 30 minutes of my time. And I will decide if that moves the needle forward or if it's just wasting. I hate saying it like this, but wasting my time. And I say that because I've talked to so many people over the last 2 years, particularly last year. And I actually pay attention and analyze what I'm doing, how I'm spending my time. And I go back and look at a lot of those meetings and I'm like, what did this actually help me do? It didn't help
Sure.
me do anything, right? So then it becomes a waste of my time. Well, why did I do that? Because I felt like I had to, because I felt like that's what got me this far. And if I abandon that now, I'm going to lose everything. And that's
Yeah.
simply not fucking true. It's just
No.
not true. And so now I get to protect my time. And you can think whatever you want of me because I tell you no, you're not worthy to be on my calendar. But in the long run, it's going to make the brand that much bigger, that much
Sure.
more powerful, and allow me to help more people like you, you know?
Hmm. No, I get it. So let's get into something a little bit more lighthearted. And you play it however you like to. But what's like a film or a telly show, something that is just, it's so funny that you can't even believe it, or it's so accurate that it's just like, wow, they really nailed this. Something like that. What do you have that relates to military life?
Ooh, that relates to military
And
life.
again, this can be ridiculous. It can be something funny. It can be something that's heartbreaking. You get to, it's dealer's choice.
Man, that's tough.
What comes to mind, just straight away?
Straight away when you talk about a TV show, there's a Cinemax TV show called Strike Back. It's one of
Okay.
my favorites. I don't know why. I love the dynamic between the two operators in that show, and they're like super
Okay.
secret, super special forces, whatever
Like
guys.
Delta
It's
this blah.
yeah, wildly inaccurate. Lots of, but like I've watched. I think there's 4 seasons, 3 or 4 seasons. I've watched that
Okay.
all the way through like 3 or 4 times, and I don't
Gotcha.
know why I'm drawn to it. I just really like it. I like Sullivan Stapleton and I forget
Okay.
the other guy. They're both British
Yeah.
guys that are in
Sure.
it, and it's just really well done, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I can relate to a lot of it, you know, the situations they find themselves in or whatever, because I don't know, it's silly and I like it. I beyond that, I'm not sure I can articulate what it is about it.
No worries. Like that's one of those things where a lot of times I find it's the chemistry, where you go and you're like, I just listening to them speak, you go like, there's something, it's just, it has that flavor to it. It has
Yeah.
that like, I could have a whole bowl of this. This is wonderful.
Yeah, 1,000%. And then, like thinking about it, it's like from the very first episode, the way Sullivan Stapleton character acts, it's just
Hmm.
like, yep, I know characters like that I've served with. Like I can picture his face and
Yeah.
him doing this, right? And then I mean, there's some seriously emotional moments in it where people lose their lives that are main
Sure.
characters, and like you get the whole kind of range of it, right? And now that I'm semi-healed or on the healing journey,
Yeah.
I actually get to express those emotions in
There
a
you
healthy
go.
way and purge those now through different TV shows and things like that. So I don't know, I love it. And about every 3 years, it gives me enough time to kind of forget the whole seasons and all of that, and then I'll go back and watch it.
I
It's
love
it's
it.
getting harder and harder to find it though. Cinemax is not really putting it out there. You can't like go on Apple TV and buy it, so
Gotcha.
I just got to kind of wait.
Maybe like a DVD box set or something.
It's probably what it's going to come down to be completely honest with you, which is that's strange, isn't it?
A little bit, but not really though, because I've said this a ton about, people get like, oh, streaming service this, and I'm going, you just said it yourself. You don't own it. Like if you don't have the thing, it's not yours. I've
That's
talked
true.
about this in security and everything else, like with cloud computing and otherwise, and it's like, that's not your server. That's just someone else's imaginary box. And guess what? If you don't have it, it's not yours.
Yep. 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 No,
Oh,
you're
I love
so
it.
right, man.
I love it.
I mean,
Well,
it's part of the reason I collect vinyls.
it's a real thing, and like that's something that's kind of wild. I've talked about this in like music chats and things recently. That like cassettes are kind of back on the rise
Are
because
they?
yeah, kids are getting into cassettes again because you can make mixtapes. You can have something tangible that you can
Yeah.
put in someone's hand, and I think that's the thing is that the pendulum swings, and at this point it's like, oh, digitize everything, and you go, that's cute. Can I hold it?
Right. I don't know. I just see, and I feel both ways, right? Like if I agree
Sure.
with you. If it's digital and it's somebody else's server, you don't own it, right? But
Mm-mm.
also, I'm all up. Dude, digital's so convenient. I can
It
carry
is.
so much with me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so like it's this catch 22. It's like, well, digital's kind of ruining everything, but also digital is so great.
Yeah, the thing about it is, I think there's a lot to be said about the kind of loss of experts. Like I've talked about this in film and photography, where if you said you were a photographer, you knew what an iris was, you knew how to pull focus, you knew all of this stuff. Where now you have someone with like an iPhone, like I'm a photographer, and I'm like, I think the word has been muddied a bit.
Yeah.
And the same kind of thing goes with owning things that, self-hosting, like when you talk about computing and otherwise, you can still do all of the cool, like, digitized stuff, but still own the box.
Yes.
But yeah, that's a whole
And
nother soapbox.
it's just like in aviation, right? Like,
Mhm.
how did you, when you became a private pilot? For me, I was not allowed to use a digital flight bag
Nope.
until after private
Nope.
pilot was over. So
Exactly.
I had to do the chart flip and all of that.
Hmm.
I took my check ride on a paper chart with a whiz
Same,
wheel.
same kind of thing. Like, well, like what do you learn on? Like, and it's changing a bit now, but like the predominant amount of people, like it's all six pack. Like
Yeah.
that's what you have, and you have nice things now. Where I think it's a wonderful thing where you have things like Garmin, like G1000s and otherwise, because we have better tools now, and I don't
Yeah.
think it's a wise thing to say, well, this is how we did it back in '02. Like, no, let's please stop. We have cooler things.
I,
But
I am, as an instructor, I think it's important. I will teach my
mm,
students and probably require them to do quite a bit with the paper chart. I think that
yeah,
that's just an essential skill that needs to be known as a good pilot
what
because,
happens if the stuff goes black?
well, and to your point, the first time I ever flew with a G950, the whole fucking thing went blank. The
See,
whole thing, right? So it one of those rare days in Washington, it got overheated and it just
hmm
shut down. And now I have nothing. I had no instruments whatsoever, right?
you're like,
So
that field is looking nice. Maybe we
yeah,
put this bird down.
yeah,
Like,
good thing that I had a paper chart with me and obviously knew the area and some
yeah,
landmarks, knew how to do some dead reckoning, but also it was clearing a million that day, so I could actually land the
okay.
plane. But what happens? Like if I didn't have that skill, what would I have done? I probably would have panicked and I probably would have got me and my instructor killed.
I'm picturing something along the lines of a hopeful emergency descent and a field somewhere. Like you're
Yeah,
like,
right.
I don't feel comfortable at all with this, and you go, let's just circle, screw it. Like that's it.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, right? So, like, because the G950's out, it took out all the electronics.
Yeah.
Everything was done. No radios, no nothing. It was all
Oh
contained
wow.
inside of that one box. And I'm just like, this sucks, man. Like,
Hmm.
this is not awesome at all.
It's quite the opposite, actually. And you go like,
It
"Hey,
is.
where are we? No clue. What's the altitude? Nothing. Altitude? Guess. Pitot tube working? Like, no way of telling."
No, right. Yep. 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 So, yeah, no, you're right, man. Digital and analog still have purposes, believe it
Yep.
or not.
I would say embrace the digital, but always know the fallback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Well, Adam, thank you so much for coming. And for people that are looking to connect with you, what are the best ways for them to do that? Straight
LinkedIn,
away.
Adam Peters. That's it. People ask me this all the time. I have a website. I have the other socials.
Sure.
LinkedIn is the primary one.
Gotcha.
I answer all the DMs there. I answer all the connection requests. It's the one that I can keep up with the most
Gotcha.
because it's just most routine for me. So straight to LinkedIn if you want to get in touch with me.
I love
And I
it.
do answer all of my own DMs. I don't have a virtual assistant. I am a one man operation. So I will get to you. I promise.
I love it. Well, we have more brilliant stories coming soon, and be sure to look at our Patreon to support us and join the tribe there. And absolutely, absolutely come back because we love having you. Cheers, all.
I was on stage in tank top and shorts, right? So I was very much myself, and I had some. I mean, it was at the military transition summit as well, so there was some very specific things that I wanted to point to and really weave the story.